Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sumeya and I am a florist from Cinnamon and Lace. Today we are going to do a little demo on how to do a flower arrangement that you can probably buy of your store-bought flowers, or if you receive a bunch of flowers, how to go about arranging it. Okay. So I'm not too sure if everybody is familiar with the types of flowers that you get, but I'm going to go through what I've got today and just explain each flower and how to go about prepping it and arranging it in our vase. So today we have a sort of a 20 centimeter deep vase, and what we could do, there's two options of arranging flowers in a vase. You could use something called a floral foam, which is called Oasis, which you pre-soak and cut it according to size for your vase. The other option we could use is called chicken wire. I prefer this method. It's eco-friendly, so environment-friendly, and you could reuse it quite often. So today we're going to be using this vase, and we're just going to be placing this inside, and this is how you would arrange your... So it typically works in a vase that is not transparent. So if you've got a transparent vase, then this actually wouldn't really work because you will be able to see the mechanics inside the vase. So, okay, so let's go through all the flowers that we have today. We have something called hydrangeas, which are my favorite flowers. And the colors that we have chosen today are very fresh, very summery colors. And the colors are the greens, the purples. We've got some peonies, we've got some orchids, we've got some roses, anthuriums. The anthurium, you typically can find it in your garden. Very long-lasting flowers. If you want your arrangement to last longer, you would actually go about choosing flowers that are more hardy in stem instead of the hydrangea, which probably has a vase life of about 5 to 7 days. So the anthurium would last you a week to 2 weeks, and we've got stocks here. These are called stocks and snaps, which we use to give an arrangement height. These also have a good vase life. They would last about 7 to 10 days in a vase. The next item that we have is called a protea, Banksy protea. These are the most hardy flowers you would get. They would last about 3 to 4 weeks in a vase, and when they dry up, they stay the same. So if you're actually looking for something or to buy something for someone and you want it to last, this would be a nice... You get these in the regular proteas, and these are called the Banksies. So they are more natural looking. Another flower that we have today is called a carnation. So my personal favorite flower. Not a lot of people like them, but it depends how it's used. It can elevate your arrangement quite nicely. Another flower that I'm using today is called a sea holly, also known as supernova. It's very pokey. It adds texture. I like to use a bit of texture in my arrangements. I generally like a variety of flowers. As you see, most of my arrangements, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you received a bouquet, I like to do things that are not basically all the same. I like to change it up a bit. Another item we have today is called a rose, which is also, this one in particular is called a peony rose. Everybody loves peonies, and this is a close favorite that's available all year round. I'm going to show you a trick with this later, how to go about elevating your arrangement with a rose. This is a Phalaenopsis orchid. You would typically probably receive it as a gift or seen it in your grocery store. They come in a pot. People find it very difficult to keep them alive. And what my trick is, you should forget about them. So if you receive one and the flowers are quite blooms, if they've got buds on them, they will every bud is another week. So it will last, it'll actually, the pot life or the plant life, so it takes a week for each flower to open. So if these do dry up after about a week or 2 weeks, or maybe a month, and all the flowers fall off, don't despair, don't throw your plant away. Leave it aside, leave it in a shady spot in your garden, or I would say forget about it. And I have a personal orchid graveyard, and after about 4 to 6 months, they bloom again. So yeah, so the less you worry about them, the better I feel like they bloom. And the more you care for them, the more stress you put yourself under and the flower under. You tend to overwater them. So in a shady spot, and it should bloom in about 4 to 6 months. So little buds will come up like this, and these are great. I love them. They're luxury flowers. There are other types of these, actually called Phalaenopsis orchids. You get other types as well. This is the most common, and very elegant flower to add to any arrangement. Another flower that's in season at the moment, which is also very scarce the rest of the year, is called a ranunculus. Available in quite a few colors. I use this mainly in bridal bouquets, and also I call them dancing flowers. So when you put them in your arrangement, I have them fluttering above the rest of the arrangement to just give it that really whimsical look. So we've got different types of carnations. So this is a nice burgundy purple color. And this is another type of rose. You probably grow this in your garden if you're a garden enthusiast. It's called a spray rose, so little baby roses. I also like them for texture, and just different sizes and different heights in the arrangement work well with these. Another item that I brought today was peonies. They unfortunately haven't opened yet. So we're going to try a trick to try and open them up for this arrangement. This is a coral color. In season only in 3 months out of the year. So it's a spring flower. They're just coming into season at the moment. So a trick that we use to open up your flowers that are still a bit closed, we just turn the petals back a bit. So it helps the flower to bloom if you've got an occasion that you want them to be opened for. Let's see how this opens up a bit more. Okay, so let's just hope this opens up for our arrangement. So that's basically the flowers that I brought in today. And let's go about making up our arrangement. So as I've already explained, I put my chicken wire into my vase. I'm doing this eco-friendly version today because I find flowers last longer in fresh water. Certain arrangements you would have to use floral foam, but I prefer the flowers last longer. You can change the water more regularly. Yeah, obviously you want the most out of your flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this with water. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask if I'm going too fast. Ideally, you would want to fill your vase 3/4 full, just so that all your when you're doing your arrangement, all your stems touch the water. But obviously not too full that it spills every time you move it or the table moves. So, okay. Is there a screen if you can see what's in? Yeah, okay. So I like to start off with, okay, I haven't told you how to prep your flowers. So this is a secateurs. It's a flower scissor. If you don't have it, any sharp scissor would do. But something for more hardier stems. So if you got your proteas or any flowers that got a thicker, harder stem, these are ideal. So don't use your kitchen scissor. And I would actually snip your flowers in a 45-degree angle. So always you try to get the most surface area out of your stem so that you've got a bigger surface area for the water to absorb into your stem. I'd like to start off with the bigger flowers. So we could arrange it in a way that, let me try and get another one. So it creates your focus in your arrangement. So if you've got something to draw your eye, the main item, I like to have a bigger flower, or if it's if it's a hydrangea or it's a protea, or any flower that's quite big and catches your eye. Also, the first item I put into the vase, so it creates your shape. Let's create our shape of our arrangement, and then we'll take it from there. This arrangement we're going to be doing is an asymmetrical arrangement, so it's not all rounded. If you're going with a very classical rounded look, if you've got similar, all the same types of flowers, if you've got just roses, if you've got a bunch of your store-bought flowers, then you generally wouldn't have the bigger flowers in your arrangement. You would have all the same. So you could start arranging from the sides, then you fill your center. So you fill the rim of your vase, and then the center, so you get even textures throughout your arrangement. So at the moment we've got 2 on one side, 1 higher, 2 lower, and then we're going to go in with our hydrangea. A trick with hydrangeas, if you've received it or if you have worked with them before, or if you purchase them, they are very tricky to keep alive as well. They are hydrangeas coming from the word hydrate, which is water. They absorb water through their petals, through the stem, basically to the entire flower. So if you find that they're wilting or they've gone a bit soft, remove them from your arrangement, soak them in a bucket of water for about 2-3 hours, and they will revive back to this again. So again, we're going to go with the 45-degree angle at the cut. I'm going to adding 2 to this arrangement. Okay. So as you see, I'm going longer in this arrangement. This would be for an arrangement that's front-facing. So this is the front of our vase. And obviously, we're going to make the back look pretty as well. So from all sides, make sure your arrangement is appealing from every angle. So we've got some snaps here. These I typically like to leave them a bit higher, so it creates the height as well of the arrangement. The chicken wire actually holds your stem in place. So with the floral foam, if you've got if this is in your vase, once you put it in, it stays in that direction. With a chicken wire or a mesh in your vase, you would have to play around. If you put it in this direction, it's going to move a bit. So it gives you a little leeway. With flowers, there's no right way and wrong way of doing it. It's about your creative vision. It's about what makes you feel good. Basically, I find it very therapeutic. You see, if you have a job that you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work, but sometimes it does. But it's just something that you enjoy it. So if you receive flowers and you want to do something with it, find a vase and get creative. So we've got a snap in there. Okay. So once I've created the shape of my arrangement, this is high on one side, low on the other side, then we'll go about filling in the gaps of this arrangement. Anthuriums are flowers that I typically would want to leave outside the vase, so I leave this for last. And our orchids would be our most delicate and most expensive flower as well. Also, leave this at the end, just to give it that little bit of luxury to your arrangement. These are our carnations. You can, if you find that your flowers are quite closed, you can give them a gentle massage, or pull the leaves back a bit and open them up. I generally like to do this if you've got a function, that you've got your e-table. If you want your flowers to be as open or like optimum for that event, we would want it to be as open as possible. So if your event is on, if you've got a function on the weekend, on a Friday or Saturday, then generally you would want to buy your flowers on a Wednesday from the market or from your Checkers or Woolworths, and so you just give them a bit of time to open up and they still look good. Okay, you can just place them in there. Always cutting your stems in that 45-degree angle as well. So now we're going to go about covering the base of our vase. So anything that you don't want to see, whatever you don't want to see is called the mechanics. So if it's your oasis, or if it's your chicken wire, or even if you've got sellotape over the top of your vase, that's also an option. I don't have to bring any tape today. So if you've got a vase, a clear vase, and you find that you're putting your flowers inside and they keep falling to the side, then you would take sellotape at the top and make a grid pattern with it. So when you put your stem in, it goes between the grids and your flowers stay in that upright position. That's another trick that you could use. Okay, so I'm going to go in still with our carnations. Okay, so we're just trying to cover up as much as possible with the carnations. Okay, this is the back of our arrangement so far. Exactly the same what we do at the front, we are going to be doing at the back as well. Okay. If you find that your flowers are a bit high, with an oasis, if you're using the floral foam, what tends to happen every time you remove your flower from the oasis, it leaves a hole in it. So once it leaves a hole in it, if you put something back into there, it doesn't really hold that well. So you have to be more precise if you're using an oasis floral foam. If you're doing using the chicken wire or the tape, for example, sellotape, you have a bit of movement. You can put it in, remove it, and it wouldn't be a problem. You're just going to keep maneuvering your flower until it's the place where you want it to be. So we've got a stock. Stock and snaps are very similar. These are seasonal, but they smell really well, really nice. So I tend to use them. They're a bit more delicate than the snapdragons. And since we're doing an asymmetrical arrangement, we could have, okay, this arrangement is going to be lower in the center and higher on the sides. So again, with different textures that we are using, this is called it's Supernova or Sea Holly. I like it. It's very different. It just give our arrangement a bit of texture. So we've got something that's pokey. We've got something that's smooth. We've got things that are all different textures and heights. Don't be afraid of leaving your stems taller. Sometimes if you cut them a bit too short, they're not going to probably, so in the back, so if you cut something too short, it's only going to fit at the side of the vase. If you want a trick of how to measure your flowers, if I want my flower to sit at this height, and this is the base of my vase, you could turn your flower upside down, and this is the height I would need to cut it at for it to be in that height. So if I'm putting it in this direction, that's the height I would want it. That's the height I would cut it in. Also bear in mind that the angle that you're placing it into the vase as well. So even if it's the height, once the ranunculus, these are two-tone ranunculus, just to give it a bit of height in the arrangement. We call this a peony rose. It's a bit of a more expensive flower compared to your regular roses. If you would actually use them for, I would use them for bridal bouquets, or I would add just one or two stems to an arrangement, just to give it a luxury rose. Another name is the cabbage rose. So you can see that it just has a bit of texture in there. So what I'm doing now is called reflexing a rose. It's a very trendy way of arranging flowers at the moment. So you would find a regular rose. I would pull off my petals that are called your guard petals, and this is what's left. You would actually put your fingers in and invert the petals. So fold them back until they have this look of being different to the initial picture. So you just open it up compared to the size of your rose. It just covers more area in your vase and just gives your arrangement a more luxury feel. So it covered up quite a bit of the arrangement compared to if I had used the flower on its own. I can just show you an example. So that would. Anybody has any questions or? I'm good. Okay, again with the reflexing. So another trick to open up your roses, you can either give them a little twirl around or blow them open, and it just gives it another look. So in keeping with the shape of our arrangement, we've got low, we've got the height, we've got the shape of the arrangement, which is going to be like a half circle. Just add something on the side to give it another. This is something different that's in season at the moment. It's called blue lace. It's also like a little dancing flower. I like to leave it higher than in the arrangement, just to give it that whimsical or very delicate feel in an arrangement. We still have a bit of gaps that we need to fill in. I'm adding another snap in here, just to still give it that shape of the arrangement. Okay. Anthuriums are also quite hardy flowers, so they're going to last a bit longer than your other flowers. They look nice on their own as well. So if you're buying a bunch of anthuriums for your kitchen table or for your dining room vase, they last quite long. Or if you've got them in your garden, snip them and put them into your vase, and they'll last about 2 to 3 weeks. I'm putting it a bit lower on this vase, just to cover the base of it. A little drop, not just the same height as your flowers. We've noticed that all our flowers that we're putting in are at different heights. So if you want an all-rounded, very symmetrical, classical look, you can cut all your flowers the same length, and then arrange them. I prefer cutting per stem, so I can just get my different heights in my arrangement. Okay. I'm going to add 2 more anthuriums in here. Anthuriums come in different colors. It's like a pistachio green. I got them to match the hydrangeas. Okay, let me turn this around. So far, this is what we got. If I find this is a bit high, take it off, trim it a bit, an inch or two, and put it back into your arrangement. And yeah, that should work. You don't have to finish all your flowers that you have. If you're doing one arrangement and you find you have a bit of extra flowers, get your little bowl or kitchen glass and something to match your table and just put the rest of your flowers in just to elongate your arrangement on your table. Okay. I'm just going in and filling in all the gaps that I see. We've got a ranunculus as well. Flowers will also generally bloom or open in the direction of the light. So if you've got, for example, tulips that you received or purchased, you find that you put them into a vase and then the next day they're facing another direction. So they also grow about a centimeter or two every day. Certain flowers grow in a vase. So you might find that you put them in one direction and the next morning you come there and they're facing another direction. Okay. So it goes like a front of an arrangement. So it looks good from both sides. This is called a dianthus. So just have one stem of it. It's a little flower that I use for filling as well. Okay. Just got a few more of these to fill in. Make sure your flowers look good from every angle. So if you're looking at it from this side, cut these ones a bit shorter, because I find that our lip of our vase wasn't covered. And front and back, we've got full coverage of this arrangement. Now we're just going to add our orchid in. Orchids tend to droop a bit, so once you place it in, going to trim that a bit more. Okay. Sometimes the flowers don't do what you want them to do, or don't go in at the angle that you want them to. You just have to play around with them and until you're satisfied with it. So we've added our orchid in here. If I find like my flower is being covered here, I'm going to take that out and place it somewhere else. Yeah. Okay, so I am now happy with this, satisfied with this arrangement, and this is something I would put on my dining room table, or if I've got guests, it's my centerpiece. And the average cost per flower, I would say, if you would probably need to buy about 2 or 3 bunches of flowers to get to feel like this. You would need to buy a bunch of your roses. You would need to buy a bunch of snaps, and then, or if you could just pop into your local florist and pick out a range of flowers, you probably get close to this look that we've got here. Does anybody have any questions? Sure. Sure. Okay. So, um, what you would like to do, ideally, if you've got a vase arrangement, is change your water every day, or every second day, but preferably every day. Another thing that you could add to your arrangement is Sprite. So it adds sugar to your arrangement, it adds sugar to your flowers, it helps them to last longer. Something else you could add is a teaspoon of Jik. So things that you can probably have around your house. Jik will keep the bacteria out of your arrangement. So when we purchasing your flowers, or when you receive flowers, or if you're buying from your Checkers or Woolworths, make sure you remove all the leaves from the stem. So when you remove all the leaves, you typically don't want anything below the water line. Anything in the water is going to attract bacteria your water is going to go murky, and you would need to change it more often. So if you've got, let me show you stem quickly. So even if you've got your foliage, your greenery, if you're putting it into your arrangement, you would want to remove the leaves that are going to go into the water and place that into the arrangement. So I haven't used any greenery in this arrangement. It's just the style that we're going with. Another way of doing an arrangement is you could do your full greenery first and then place your flowers. If you have more greenery, more leaves, and less flowers, you could create your shape with your greens and thereafter do your add your flowers in the same sort of style that you. Anybody else? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. All right. The not so glamorous part of doing flowers is the cleanup after. So make sure all your stems are always cut and into the waste. Also, if you have a garden compost, these go great, and they also eco-friendly. Anybody has any tips that they want to share with us? We've got a prize that we're giving away. We are giving this arrangement away, and for anybody with the best question or most intriguing question that we have. Okay. And we have a voucher, 150 Rand voucher, in-store voucher from Dawood's Mega Store. Okay, so we're giving this away with the arrangement as well. And what's inside? Okay, we've got a little bag with some goodies inside as well. Okay, so let me ask a question. Let's see. Question is, can anybody name 3 flowers that we used in this arrangement? Okay. If you can correctly name 3, okay, should I make it difficult? Because I see there's lots of people know it. Okay, I'm going to choose 3 flowers, and then maybe you can name them. Right. That might be better. So we've got, let me pull them out. 3 items here. So we've got these items and 3 items here. Okay. The lady with the floral scarf. Yeah. Okay, we need names that I used in the arrangement. So I said this is a type of rose, this is a type of orchid, and this is a type of flower. Yeah? No. Sorry. Another name? you want to go? What type of orchid is this? Your orchid that you can buy at Checkers and Woolworths. If you can name this orchid, you win this arrangement. Another name for it is called butterfly orchid. Anyone? Nobody wants to win this. Nobody was paying attention. I should have told you to take some notes. Okay. No? Yes. Okay, we've got the right answer. This is called a Phalaenopsis orchid. So I mentioned it a few times. It's your most common type of orchid that you can purchase. And I'm sure you've seen it, I'm sure you've received it, I'm sure you've purchased it. And they are the flowers that you need to leave them aside, forget about them, and hopefully they'll bloom again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And this is the lady that wins the arrangement. Okay. Anybody wants to come up and have a look at it? Anybody wants to come up and try and place some flowers into it? Sure. Want to cover? How much would an arrangement like this cost? Okay, so these are the type of flowers you don't usually get at your Checkers and Woolworths. So some